Dave Hester exploded onto the scene as one of reality TV's most outrageous and aggressive stars. As a standout cast member on A&E's hit show Storage Wars, this modern-day treasure hunter built a reputation as the auction villain whom viewers loved to hate.
I saw it. I witnessed it. Auctioneer has the right to reopen the bid.
Don't listen to Dave. Dave will do anything to undermine me.
Combining a hawk-eyed instinct for hidden gems with an aggressive demeanor, Hester's abrasive style and nasty feud made for entertaining viewing. But behind the bluster swirled darker controversies, leading to his eventual exit. Join us as we delve into Hester's backstory, controversies surrounding him, and where he ultimately ended up. The mogul, Dave Hester. Dave Hester entered the world on July 23, 1964, at Camp Pendleton Naval Hospital, as his father continued U.S. Army service stateside following stints abroad in Korea and Vietnam. After numerous relocations during childhood as a proud military family, the Hesters ultimately settled down in Orange County, California. Though his grades proved underwhelming in high school, young Dave displayed keen business savvy early on. At just age 14 in 1978, Dave began purchasing inexpensive goods and tools from local garage sales, then transporting them resold on profit margin to swap meets at nearby Huntington Beach. In later years, he grew wares diversity ranging machinery trade tools purchased from closing factories. Dave proved a reliable salesman who was quick to study people's shifting interests. He continued his wholesale goods trade into early adulthood. During 1980s, he commenced an apprenticeship under a friend's father, a skilled auctioneer, learning the trickiest aspects like rapid item appraisals, managing bidders, and recognizing price ceilings. That was the time when he adopted the signature "Yup!" exclamation when acknowledging participants' now quintessential catchphrase. Fate afforded him a lucky break in 2002 when he auctioned one deceased hoarder's storage locker crammed with valuable memorabilia. Dave gained widespread attention and established a reputation in the field of commodity trading countywide, thanks to the substantial profits he earned from selling to collectors. Merciless mogul in Storage Wars. In 2010, Dave Hester's big break came knocking, and he sure wasn't about to let it slip away. Right from the get-go, he firmly established himself as the ultimate antagonist on Storage Wars, setting the stage for some epic showdowns. Standing just 5'4", yet exuding formidable aggression, he surveys auctions with an air of smug confidence meant to intimidate less experienced buyers. The approach frequently ignites shouting matches and hurt feelings, much to Dave's amusement. Sporting his trademark black outfit and baseball cap emblazoned with his name, of course, Dave delights in bullying mild-mannered competitors like Jared Schultz and Brandon Sheets. He intentionally inflates bids on units to pressure rivals into overpaying, chuckling when they storm off in frustration. Once we get inside that gate, friendships, ethics, morality, no place, he explains bluntly. Such transparent scheming irritates even veteran buyer Daryl Sheets, who has clashed furiously with Dave on several occasions. Their emotional exchanges, punctuated by Daryl's nickname The Gambler for Dave, make for a guilty viewing pleasure amongst Storage Wars fans. Fellow star Brandy Passante simply states, "If it seems like Dave is grating on my nerves, it's because he is." Yet for all his bluster, Dave consistently makes shrewd purchases that earn huge profits. He examines storage contents with care before bidding, aided by decades of auction experience. When Dave wins a unit and triumphantly barks his catchphrase, "Yup!" it signals another successful scheme by reality TV's craftiest mogul. Suing Storage Wars. Dave Hester's absence in Storage Wars' third season was not just a temporary break from the show. In December 2012, he filed a blockbuster lawsuit in Los Angeles County Superior Court, levying serious charges against Storage Wars and production company Original Media. His wide-ranging complaint alleged producers regularly manipulated auctions by planting valuable items in lockers to heighten the drama. According to Hester's lawsuit, finding newspapers on Elvis Presley's death in a recent unit represented just one blatant example of deception tactics aimed at salt lockers. He further accused A&E executives of keeping Storage Wars stars uninformed, hiding planted items, and more. Interviews, appraisals, and auctions themselves were all allegedly staged well in advance as well. Bidding competitions in California fall under legal guidelines prohibiting rigging of contests containing intellectual skill. Thus, Hester accused the network and producers of routinely breaking state laws on top of deceiving cast members such as himself. He refused further participation in what is essentially a charade. Within months, Hester was fired under mysterious circumstances. In March 2013 court filings, Dave tacked on charges of wrongful termination relating to his firing. However, legal technicalities saw District Judge Michael Johnson dismiss all but one cause of action that June. Undeterred, Hester continued appealing his single remaining claim of wrongful firing. The stubborn move would surprisingly see him back on Storage Wars sooner than anyone anticipated. Physical brawls. Unsurprisingly, Dave Hester's cocksure abrasiveness eventually spilled into outright violence during 2015's Season 8 taping. The fighting incident between Dave and fellow auction personality Dan Dotson. Hester and Dotson's war of words turned physical when Dan aggressively threatened Dave, prompting Dave to throw a punch at Dan's face. Showing reflexes belying her age, Dan's wife Laura Dotson immediately leapt onto Dave's back to defend her husband. The scuffle quickly grew chaotic amidst the storage lockers until security and crew separated the combatants. Dave suffered scratches from Laura and underwent precautionary medical treatment, while the Dotsons emerged visibly furious. Cooler heads somehow prevailed, however. TMZ reported no arrests occurred despite the altercation. Health scares, lawsuits from guest stars and business associates, along with tax liens, have continued plaguing Dave well beyond that 2015 fight. Yet through it all, the show airing his ironically titled All's Fair in Storage and War episode just weeks later demonstrates Storage Wars needs his drama as much as he needs the platform. Their symbiotic, albeit contentious relationship appears poised to thrive for the foreseeable future. Because when it comes to Dave Hester and Storage Wars, smoothing tensions and softening edges simply makes for bad reality television. Because when it comes to Dave Hester and Storage Wars, smoothing tensions and softening edges simply makes for bad reality television. Early career and DUI arrest. Dave Hester's familiarity with storage auctions and a keen eye for hidden value began developing long before his Storage Wars debut. During childhood summers in the 1960s and 70s, his father, a U.S. Army veteran, would take young Dave scouring garage sales for discounted tools, appliances, and antiques to later resell at a markup. The early experiences honed Dave's appraisal abilities and instilled appreciation for spotting diamonds in the rough. By his early teens, Dave began accompanying his father, an auctioneer by trade, to storage unit auctions as well. He quickly grasped nuances of the unique auction style, cash-only bargaining centered around unknown locker contents with mere minutes to survey before irrevocable bidding commenced. Dave learned studying a storage facility's clientele could provide clues on potential unit valuables too. While Dave chose college to pursue auctioneering and sales himself, he diversified his entrepreneurial talents over time. In 1997, he opened the Newport Consignment Gallery dealing in furniture and housewares, while operating a separate thrift store specializing in clothing. Dave continually explored new earning avenues linked back to his core skills in reselling goods creatively. However, an unfavorable 2005 drunk driving conviction threatened to derail Dave's burgeoning business ventures. Mandatory DUI penalties, license suspension, fines approaching $2,000, and enrollment in a court-ordered alcohol education program were compounded by 30 days of required community service for Dave. As luck would have it, the location assigned by authorities seemed almost cosmic, a local Goodwill regional warehouse store. Initially irritated when forced to serve there, Dave rapidly discovered unique merchandising knowledge from the thriving Goodwill chain. Pricing strategies, product presentation tactics, and efficiency in processing high donation volumes all caught his interest during otherwise mundane restocking and organizational tasks. He also honed skills in identifying particularly valuable collectibles, mixed amidst common household discards donated each day. By his community service sentence's end, Dave envisioned enormous untapped potential, bringing second-hand resale back to his existing galleries at greater scales. He began remodeling to accommodate high-volume thrift operations alongside current auction offerings. Risks proved worthwhile. The newly christened Rags to Riches thrift store thrived following its 2006 openings, vindicating Dave's inspiration from an unlikely DUI-related circumstance. Dave Hester Auctions, well-honed expertise. Laura Dotson accurately credits Dave Hester's Storage Wars success to the 20 years of experience he had before the show even started. By series debut in 2010, he leveraged that extensive expertise to establish Dave Hester Auctions, following the closure of his Newport consignment gallery 2 years prior. The Long Beach, California-based full-service auction house focuses mainly on appraisals and selling storage locker contents and estate items on consignment. Dave conducts authentication for a wide spectrum of collectibles, ranging from fine art to vintage musical equipment fetched from storage lockers or households. He maintains long-standing connections with specialty experts able to value rare books, jewelry, classic automobiles, and other high-end consigned goods as well. Items deemed worthy command listings through his weekly online auctions and targeted international buyer outreach efforts. For day-to-day operations, Dave continues following the business blueprint that served him well since the 1980s. Stay lean, trust proven instincts over fads, and tap extensive personal networks to move product profitably. His 2 decades of cultivating buyer relationships grant him insider means of unloading niche goods quickly at fair prices, without relying solely on auctions. Such decisive action prevents storage overage fees from eroding margins on high-value locker finds. The sprint-selling mentality transfers directly from Dave Hester Auctions to Storage Wars set as well. Few rivals can match Dave's mix of operational experience and appraisal acumen, enabling smart, calculated risks that regularly pay off for 2014's highest single-season earner. He may play up showmanship and bravado for the cameras, but make no mistake. The polarizing mogul didn't earn estimated 8-figure wealth through sheer luck. Life outside Storage Wars. Here's where Storage Wars star Dave Hester ended up. While his storage locker wheeling and dealing occupy considerable mindshare, Dave Hester enjoys varied interests away from the show as well. A fixture alongside Dave at Auctions, the Storage Center office manager's wife, Donna Hester, provides integral behind-the-scenes support. Donna handles critical organizational duties to keep Dave Hester Auctions humming smoothly when production schedules take Dave on site for filming. Sports and fishing rank among Dave's favorite passions beyond work. Avid baseball enthusiast Dave splurges annually on spring training trips watching his beloved Los Angeles Dodgers fine-tune fundamentals in Arizona's Cactus League. He often voyages out to sea angling for yellowfin tuna, sailfish, and marlin with charter boat services off Cabo San Lucas too. Ensuring bountiful catches to photograph for his social media pages constitutes part of the appeal. Speaking of Instagram and Twitter, Dave flashes his softer sides there, interacting with 96,000 collective followers. He delights in posting about beloved pug trio Pinky, Violet, and Frankie. They sport their own bespoke t-shirt merchandise line and everything. Dave directly supports various California pug rescue and adoption shelters, even participating yearly in awareness events like Long Beach's Pugoween Costume Spectacular. Some charitable endeavors hit closer to home also. Dave's elder sister endured the trauma of domestic assault for years before tragically losing her life to violence. He now channels spare time plus portions of Auction and Storage Wars proceeds toward Jenny Star, a foundation aiding abused partners and their children to rebuild safe, hopeful lives. It exemplifies how behind the much vilified public persona, Dave Hester's generosity still shines brightly. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. Dave Hester's absence from recent Storage Wars seasons has left many fans wondering and worried. What became of the mogul following his comeback with just a handful of appearances? Did further issues strike the notorious auction personality again? Or have producers moved away from the Dave Hester era entirely? Here's where Storage Wars star Dave Hester ended up. Public records offer clues, given Dave's regular silence regarding personal matters off camera. Renewed legal troubles surfaced in 2020 surrounding DaveHesterAuctions.com. Dave's auction site property wound up in ownership limbo during apparent business expansion plans. A six-figure agreement from 2015 saw Dave authorizing a transfer to third-party Ready Set sold online for business migration purposes. However, per Dave's 2021 court testimony, various obstacles prevented site shift formalities from being fulfilled as planned. Ready Set Sold subgroup continued utilizing the domain for online auctions, nonetheless pending negotiations. Ultimately, talks collapsed. Demand for $350,000 cited non-delivery of domain rights produced the disputed 2020 lawsuit. Dave scored a dismissal victory when a Los Angeles County judge ruled unambiguous contract terms were missing. The failed arrangement and subsequent legal fight revealed business complications plaguing Dave since his 2018 health crisis. As a notorious micromanager used to exercising complete authority, handing off any operations control marked a dramatic change. His communication gaps and known tendency to gloss over inconvenient realities signal the hemorrhagic stroke impacted organization fluency also. What are your views on the methods of Dave Hester? Let us know in the comments. Yoop lawsuit. Beyond clashing with Storage Wars stars on camera, Dave Hester's pugnacious nature and shrewd business dealings unsurprisingly sparked off-screen legal turmoil as well. Trademark infringement allegations from celebrity guests in 2011 presented an early harbinger of future courtroom battles. Locker content theft accusations, contract disputes, and tax violations would all additionally entangle Dave in the coming years. In one notable 2011 case, rap artist Trey Songz filed suit to block Dave Hester Auctions from selling Yoop branded merchandise utilizing Dave's signature catchphrase. Trey claimed he originated associating the utterance with his brand starting in 2009, 2 years before Storage Wars debuted. Dave countersued for infringement upon his identical federally registered mark tied to the show. Ultimately, the unlikely opponents settled matters privately, signing a confidential agreement in 2012 that permitted both parties to continue the exploitation of YUUUP goods. Yet the contest signaled Dave's trademark battered public persona ensured future legal dust-ups, with those alleging harm from his brand's side effects. Sure enough, 2014 brought charges of rather more serious transgressions tied to a Dave Hester auction sale. Family members of deceased artist Jack Armstrong accused Dave of unlawfully acquiring and profiting from $750,000 worth of Armstrong's paintings, stored following his untimely passing. Dave purportedly purchased the storage locker housing the art for just $3,000 at a Riverside auction. He then resold roughly 100 works through a Los Angeles gallery for over $500,000, without disclosing origins to the dealer according to claimants. The FBI ultimately took over investigating the alleged art theft and fraud charges from local authorities. Dave staunchly denied accusations through his attorney, maintaining he obtained legitimate ownership of the paintings via storage facility, auction purchase, and bill of sale documentation. Without sufficient evidentiary grounds, the probe gradually ran cold and no criminal charges ever materialized. Still, the dramatic incident highlighted Dave Hester Auctions and Storage Wars stars' penchant for provoking lasting outrage from peripheral figures. Disgruntled former friends, unpaid contractors, and niche collectors alike earned spots among the embroiled litigants. Even California tax authorities characteristically wanted in on the action. They would file successive IRS property liens against Dave for over $100,000 in neglected taxes by 2020. When set against his return television run's cumulative wealth nearing $10 million, financial obligations posed mere rounding errors for cash flush Dave Hester. But accompanying public relations headaches still inflicted lasting blows upon Dave's reputation. Where early Storage Wars seasons positioned him as a lovably roguish anti-hero, increasingly hostile legal activity risked positioning Dave as simply a menace. Return to Storage Wars after lawsuit. Dave Hester's departure from Storage Wars following his contentious 2012 lawsuits left a void not easily filled. The mogul's cunning antagonism and ruthless auction tactics made for quality reality television, whatever his detractors might say. Negotiations likely commenced quietly to plot Dave's return, even as he continued blasting the show's credibility publicly in court. By 2014, backroom dealings resulted in a confidential settlement between Dave A and E and the production company Original. Neither admitted fault, but the terms were adequate to facilitate Dave rejoining Storage Wars for the upcoming 5th season. His one-year absence only augmented his notoriety. Dave wasted no time leveraging renewed headlines and viewer buzz generated by his dramatic firing and return. On-site filming soon confirmed Dave had lost none of his prowess for storage locker bidding skullduggery either. From the outset, he seemed almost liberated without reputation or professional alliances to consider anymore. Where Season 4 presented more tempered, sympathetic personalities, the prodigal mogul roared back as his old, ruthlessly cunning, unrepentantly combative self. And then some. If anything, lingering backlash over Dave's bitter legal fight with A&E manifested in even more shameless, conniving behavior before rolling cameras. Early Season 5 incidents showed a gleeful Dave bullying young stars Jared Schultz and Brandy Passante over units, cackling as they stormed off fuming. Rival Daryl Sheets suffered Dave's familiar barrage of verbal jabs undermining skill. But now, added subtext existed courtesy of Daryl publicly denouncing Dave's lawsuit as bitter fabrications from a poor sport. Their heated clashes grew more visceral as past friendliness evaporated. Daryl's gambler nickname for Dave and Dave's taunting Daryl as a buffoonish hoarder devolved into palpable mutual disdain between respected veterans. Their friction-filled interactions proved a guilty viewership pleasure. Even easygoing Barry Weiss drew Dave's impropriety, grumbling he was tired of Dave's crap at one auction. Dave chuckled, hearing later how flustered he made Barry. While Barry's remark reflected most castmates' sentiments, Laura Dotson pragmatically noted ratings and auction proceeds were all A&E executives cared about where Dave was concerned. Behind the scenes and on camera, his magnetism for stirring outrage boosted Storage Wars' value. Through another 80 episodes, Dave fine-tuned his agent provocateur persona. He manipulated appraisals more blatantly on camera, patronized experts to their faces, and ignored rules or formalities hampering his profits. Production teams were accused of still manipulating auction outcomes, but Dave's unfiltered negative energy made it easy to picture some grievances as factual. The more Dave's anything-goes hustling sparked fights and meltdowns, the heartier audiences embraced him as the chief Storage Wars heel. Message boards analyzed his lies as masterful strategic performances rather than ethical shortcomings. Dave publicly leaned into the bad boy characterization as well through guest DJ radio appearances and the launch of specialty Ya-You Up apparel lines. After years of bemoaning deceitful production tactics, the new Dave Hester delighted in being the outrage vector toward record viewership and riches. Lawsuits, firings, and strife all faded into the past. Bidding war over valuable comic book locker. Allegations of rigging auctions may have tailed off since Dave Hester's contentious early Storage Wars run, but genuine bidding drama persisted courtesy of an epic 2015 Showdown. Discovery of a high-value locker containing boxes of rare vintage comic books during Season 8 soon escalated tensions between Dave and prominent buyer Renee Najoda. Known as the Bargain Man, Renee traveled nationwide purchasing storage units' unusual contents for resale. Initial inspection of the Riverside, California unit yielded clues of a major comic book collection worth easily upwards of $50,000. Various Detective Comics and early Avengers issues marked promising finds. But upon noticing intensely coveted copies of 1962's Incredible Hulk #1, intensity levels soared amongst veteran buyers aware of the comic's value, especially Dave. Visions of six-figure resale profits ignited consuming mutually hostile determination between him and Renee. Dave struck first, opening bidding at an astronomical $5,750, over 10 times typical auction starting points even for favorable lockers. Renee countered just as aggressively, prompting the figurative price thermometer upwards in a duel of alpha males unwilling to concede. The ratcheting numbers and egos soon overlapped $100,000 for a storage compartment with no end in sight. Finally, thrift store owner Mary Padian urged others to break the standoff, questioning astronomical sums for unseen goods potentially ruined while stored. Her appeal snapped the frenzy sufficiently for Renee to get the winning bid at $138,000, albeit now carrying massive risk needing recouping profit reselling contents. Yet Renee found his brief reign as champion short-lived, thanks to suspicious locker parallels with Dave Hester's long-standing reality show gripes. Eerily similar circumstances had Dave alleging Storage Wars fakery years earlier during his contentious lawsuit. Top-tier collectibles somehow languish forgotten in cheap storage units, just as network contracts needed renegotiation. It smacked of the salting lockers controversies Dave decried, where producers planted goods to manipulate outcomes for entertainment. Renee Najota concurred, later asserting Dave held unfair foreknowledge of the valuable lockers' contents from site insiders. Dave reportedly utilized long-standing manager contacts, gaining illicit preview access before auctions commenced. Incensed at feeling duped by rigged proceedings, Renee railed rival bidders and avoided bidding wars until formal investigations of cheating allegations. Ultimately, Renee's complaints stalled awaiting hard evidence, but deep mistrust lingered given producers' reluctance to fully condemn Dave publicly. For years afterward, buyers continued directing thinly veiled criticism suggesting somewhat orchestrated, theatrical bidding extravaganzas benefiting principal stars. Heath issues and hemorrhagic stroke. At just age 53, increasingly concerning health symptoms culminated in emergency hospitalization after 911 responders found Dave unconscious at home one November morning. Doctors soon diagnosed the cause, an extremely serious category of stroke brought on by severe high blood pressure. Hemorrhagic stroke occurs when arterial pressure grows extreme enough to rupture delicate blood vessels supplying the brain. Ensuing vascular ruptures unleash chaotic bleeding, internally producing horrifying reactions: seizures, vertigo, collapse, and loss of consciousness. Even with rapid treatment, roughly 40% of hemorrhagic stroke patients perish within 30 days. In Dave's case, surgeons needed to drill through the skull to drain bleeding and remove clots pressing on vital brain regions governing speech and movement. Oxygen deprivation during bleeding caused further complications, as did Dave's concurrent diagnosis of sleep apnea, another condition where breathing stops intermittently. He required mechanical ventilation by tube for 2 weeks in intensive care, sedated to enable slow neurological recovery. Doctors characterized Dave's survival as uncertain initially. Sheer procedural mortality rates posed daunting odds, without even considering Dave's ongoing health journey. Prescription medications and lifestyle changes were mandatory, not optional, following discharge. Clinic teams made clear further strokes could easily prove fatal should Dave resume ignoring warning signs. For such a notoriously stubborn personality accustomed to charging through obstacles by force of will, adapting would severely test Dave's identity. Miraculously, Dave pushed through the stroke's worst phase and awoke coherently following sedation. But liberating his mind from an ICU prison still left lasting damage to overcome physically. Atrophy from 2 weeks immobilization meant Dave lost significant strength, which intensive physical rehabilitation activities would need restoring over months. Perhaps more troubling, Dave's post-op mental state showed problems as well. Impulsiveness, emotional volatility, and aggression all surged as clinicians monitored him, likely tied to the stroke's location impacting personality regulation. Doctors named problematic behaviors secondary to Dave's core recovery, but warned resolution could well take beyond a year and require medication assistance. Family members were advised what to watch for anticipating his discharge home on compassionate leave. Dave tackled speech therapy first upon starting outpatient care, conspicuously silent on social media initially. Enunciation clarity proved frustratingly elusive, between apparent word retrieval challenges and reduced mouth muscle tone. Practicing phrases and sounds children learned left proud Dave secretly embarrassed, despite clinicians' reassurances. Reading aloud Dr. Seuss's stories amused nobody at age 54. Ambulation ramp-up visited greater discouragement still from Dave's skewed internal perspective. Hospital personnel's mobility assistance felt sadly necessary, yet shameful being escorted hither and yon. Graduating canes, then walkers barely raised Dave's mood, given their symbolism of feebleness in his mind. It grew difficult silencing mean self-criticism following each arduous physiotherapy or psychotherapy appointment. In healthier times, Dave had blazed new trails through blunt determination, achieving the American dream his way. Except now, Dave's own disobedient brain and body betrayed successful habits, no longer responding like obedient tools of past triumphs. Outlasting bleak days while David Jr. assisted his every basic need required hope. Both would improve eventually. What's next for Dave Hester? Dave Hester undeniably built a niche empire by elevating hoarder cast-off auctions into staple reality entertainment on Storage Wars. Yet his diminishing recent role, presumably tied to 2018 health challenges, spurs questions whether Dave's fame cycle nears conclusion as A and E eyes next directions. Could mounting friction also nudge Dave himself to ponder life beyond the Storage Wars grind? On paper, the auction house proprietor possesses ample flexibility, reducing screen time if desired. His shrewd investments produced wealth permitting selective TV appearances rather than full-time filming. Regular in-person auctioneering could phase more toward online sales and remote bidding. While not retirement per se, easing physical burdens would enable lifestyle focus on recovery stability after life-changing surgery. Some late 2021 Twitter activity sees Dave himself hinting at a return to prominence regardless, albeit in remodeling himself rather than show. Rekindling grossly neglected fitness habits, looks centering coming days more than production schedules or location scouting. For as legendary as his business cunning rightfully became through Storage Wars years, improving Dave Hester's most vital enterprise, restoring his post-stroke health, outranks all other priorities now. Once greater wellness establishes firm roots, expect Dave to punctuate Twitter gym progress clips with occasional attention-grabbing media teases as well. The mogul's outsized persona forever craves besting rivals and shocking audiences, even if at a measured pace befitting present fragility. When one considers his wealth owes everything to those popcorn-munching masses Dave briefly turned against midway through Storage Wars, rather than Nunchuck and Monk Jimmy producing some banging donk, the impetus for retaining public visibility persists. But this assumes series production heads even desire repartnering with Dave Hester professionally, to degrees satisfying his notoriously strong self-determination. Between lingering health uncertainties and past acrimony over Dave's lawsuit, A and E may have simply moved into the next eras led by fresher performer faces. Recent additions like glamorous bidding couple Emily Wares and Gabe Rodriguez earned high marks, absorbing airtime voids left by Dave's absence. Assuming wellness ultimately permits resuming his prior filming pace long-term, does Dave swallow pride in accepting reduced screen time for continuity's sake alone? Alternately, he could forge entirely separate visibility through a Dave Hester Auctions reality spin-off, independent of Storage Wars baggage. It offers risks and rewards on either route at the crossroads of rehabilitation, relevance, and legacy. All weighted decisions warranting mogul's shrewd, calculated gamble. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.